am still recovering. I am literally clutching my invisible pearls right now. My chest is heaving, and I'm honestly rethinking every single thing I thought I knew about sequins, spray tans, and like the actual safety of the human body.
It was a high-stakes gladiator arena covered in rhinestones tonight. I mean, the sheer, unadulterated trauma of it all.
Welcome back to the Snark Side, babes. Today, we are not just doing some surface-level recap. Our mission for this whole breakdown is to completely dissect the illusion of effortless perfection that reality television sells us.
Exactly.
We are looking at the raw rehearsal tape, the judges' incredibly harsh critiques, and the behind-the-scenes Reddit leaks to uncover the actual physical and honestly psychological breaking points of competitive dance.
Because if unearned confidence alone counted as choreography, we'd both have mirror ball trophies sitting on our mantles by now.
Oh, I wish.
But as we saw tonight, confidence will only get you so far before a stray hand literally takes you out.
Grab your glasses, Snark Squad, because we have got the raspberry champagne spritzes on deck tonight, and you are going to need the liquid courage.
You really are.
Let's just toast right now.
Yeah.
Cheers to another fabulous, completely unhinged night of television.
Cheers, babes. And what a broadcast it was.
Yeah.
Just to set the stage for everyone who is currently screaming into their throw pillows along with us, we had the iconic Britt Stewart walking into the house to drop an absolute logistical nightmare on these contestants.
A nightmare.
We had a theme that literally struck fear into the hearts of these dancers. I mean, you're only as strong as your weakest link.
Ugh, the drama of that title.
And we watched the vibe of the entire night go from this glittery collaborative dream to an actual literal medical emergency.
My heart was in my throat. But before we get into the heavy stuff, the injuries, the brutal eliminations, we need to have a moment of absolute honesty about the illusion this show creates.
Oh, the delusion is so real.
It is, because watching these dancers always makes me spiral. I sit on my couch, wrapped in a fleece blanket, eating a handful of popcorn, and I watch them do a flawless, sweeping movement across the floor.
Right.
And my delusional brain goes, you know what? I could learn a tango in a week. I could totally do that. How hard is walking with attitude?
The delusion is staggering.
Uh-huh.
And yet so completely scientifically unfounded. Let me give you a reality check, and I need the Snark Squad to hear this loud and clear so none of you pull a hamstring in your living rooms tonight.
Please save them.
Remember 3 years ago when I decided I was going to, get into fitness, and I signed up for that beginner Zumba class at the community center?
Oh my God, yes, the neon headband phase. You bought so much spandex.
I thought I was going to give them Shakira.
You really did.
I thought my hips possessed a natural, untapped Latin rhythm. Babes, 20 minutes into a basic meringue step, I was literally breathless on the floor.
I remember you texting me that you were dying.
I thought I was having a localized cardiac event. A beginner Zumba class nearly took me out because I fundamentally misunderstood the cardiovascular demand of constant hip action.
It's sneaky.
You aren't just stepping, you are constantly engaging your core, shifting your center of gravity, and driving movement from the floor up. And these contestants tonight are out here doing high-velocity cape work and aggressive telespins.
It is so humbling because, okay, my equivalent to your cardiovascular Zumba disaster, it was last Tuesday.
Oh, no. What did you do?
I was making pasta, listening to some jazz, and I decided to try and execute one of those dramatic, sweeping ballroom spins in the kitchen. Just a single turn.
What exactly were the physics of this disaster?
Complete chaos. I completely misjudged my momentum. I threw my arms out to get that beautiful centrifugal force they always talk about.
Which you do not have.
I do not.
No.
And I completely lost my spatial awareness, which is a huge theme tonight, by the way. And I hip-checked the solid oak dining chair so hard it cracked.
The chair cracked.
Yes. I have a bruise the size of a grapefruit on my thigh. My center of gravity was entirely in the wrong place, my spotting was non-existent, and I was wearing sweatpants, not a heavily beaded 20-pound gown.
Which perfectly illustrates the absolute magic and the inherent danger of professional dancers. The reason we sit on our couches and think we can do it is because they are literally trained to mask the agony.
They make it look like breathing.
They are manipulating complex physics momentum, friction, centripetal force, while smiling and pretending they aren't gasping for air. It is an illusion. And what was so fascinating about tonight's broadcast was that we saw the intense pressure of that 3-hour rehearsal window.
Yes, the time crunch.
That specific time crunch is where the illusion drops, the muscle memory fails, and you see the sheer panic set in.
Exactly. We saw the veil lifted. And it makes me wonder if we were somehow cast on this show, knowing what we know now about the mechanics, who out of the two of us would actually survive rehearsal week?
Oh, please. I would survive easily.
You think so?
I would run on sheer, unfiltered, judgmental adrenaline. I would be a chaotic force of nature. I would treat the rehearsal room like a military boot camp. You, on the other hand, let's be real.
Hey, I am resilient. I have emotional depth.
Babes, you would be crying by day 2 just from watching one of the heartfelt video packages.
Oh, okay. That might be true.
They would play a sad piano chord, tell a story about someone's childhood dog, and you'd be weeping in the corner of the rehearsal studio, completely unable to point your toes because of the emotional weight of it all. Your frame would collapse from pure empathy.
Okay, wow. I feel very attacked right now. But also, you are 100% correct. I would just want to hug everyone and tell them they are doing a great job.
Which gets you eliminated.
Which, as we learned tonight with Team Paso, absolutely does not win you the competition. But let's live in our delusion for just 5 more minutes.
Okay, lay it on me.
If, by some absolute miracle of the universe, you and I made it to the finale, the final 2, what is your freestyle fantasy? Set the scene.
Oh, it is going to be unhinged. Pure, chaotic, high-energy adrenaline. I am thinking a massive, aggressive entrance to a Doja Cat track. Or maybe Lenny Kravitz, which foreshadows Team Paso tonight. I want raw, untamed energy.
What about the costume? You need sparkle.
The costume. Way too much fringe. I want so much fringe it constitutes an active fire hazard in the studio. And there will be pyrotechnics going off on every single downbeat.
I am sweating just thinking about the insurance liability. What is the signature move?
A death drop. Right on the final crescendo, dead center, right in front of Shirley Ballas' judging desk.
Oh my God. And the inevitable injury from said death drop, because we just established we are not athletes.
Oh, I would require immediate, intensive physical therapy for a slip disc.
Stop it, Shirley.
The physics of a death drop require incredible core control to arrest your fall right before your spine hits the floor. I do not possess that control. I would just let gravity take the wheel, shatter my L4 vertebra, and they would have to wheel me out on a stretcher to get my scores.
I mean, they'd give you a 10 for commitment.
But it would be legendary. What about you? Give me the emotional underdog fantasy.
Oh, it is sweeping. It is deeply cinematic. We are talking a highly emotional entrance to a Celine Dion or Adele ballad. The studio lights are low, casting dramatic shadows.
Very moody, I see it.
The costume is this elegant, ethereal, flowy chiffon number that catches the air. And I absolutely must have an industrial-grade wind machine directed at me from the moment the music starts.
Of course. The wind machine is non-negotiable for the melodrama.
It is. The signature move is a gorgeous, trusting lift, where I run across the floor, leap blindly into the air, and completely surrender to my partner, letting them catch me at the apex of my jump.
And the catastrophic injury.
I would tear my hamstring right off the bone just trying to aggressively point my toes during the dramatic opening pose.
Not even the lift.
No, just an immediate audible snap before the music even swells. Because I didn't warm up, I was too busy getting into the emotional headspace of the character.
Beautiful, but mechanically tragic. A cold muscle snapping under sudden tension. Well, speaking of bodies giving out under pressure, let's hit the actual dance floor and dissect the pros, the performances, and the absolute glitter-fueled chaos of tonight's competition.
Yes, let's get into the meat of this recap, starting with the arrival of Britt Stewart. She walks in looking like an absolute goddess, serving as a guest mentor and judge, and she immediately drops this jaw-dropping, wildly complex group number on them.
The choreography was exquisite. Britt is a mastermind when it comes to utilizing the entire floor. But the analysis here, the brutal reality that the broadcast highlighted, is the logistics of the time crunch.
It really was.
We always watch the pros on the main show perform these massive opening numbers, and we never really think about how they are built. Britt drops the bomb pros only get 3 hours to learn these intricate group routines before they're on their marks, camera ready for the live show. 3 hours.
It was terrifying to watch, and you have to explain why 3 hours is so insane, because to a normal person, 3 hours sounds like a long time to learn a 1-minute dance.
To a layman, sure. But in professional dance, you aren't just memorizing steps. You're building muscle memory. You have to learn the counts, the spatial mapping of where your body is in relation to 8 other people, the specific styling of the arms, the exact angle of the head.
That's so much math.
Usually, that takes days of repetition, so your brain doesn't have to think about it anymore. When you only have 3 hours, your brain is still actively processing the math of the choreography while you are performing it. That is a recipe for disaster. The sheer, unadulterated panic on the faces of these 9 contestants was palpable.
I felt so much deep, overwhelming empathy for Adele Zakeman in that moment. You could see her visibly shrinking into herself, openly doubting her abilities.
She was totally overwhelmed.
She comes from such a strict competitive ballroom background where you drill a single routine for months on end until it's flawless, and suddenly she's thrust into this collaborative, high-speed reality TV pressure cooker. My heart just broke for her.
It perfectly illustrates the difference between being a good competitive dancer and being a good TV pro. A TV pro has to be a chameleon who learns at lightning speed. And speaking of that 3-hour pressure cooker, we have to talk about the incident, the literal ballroom casualty.
I am still sick to my stomach over it. It happened so fast.
They are rehearsing Britt's high-intensity routine, trying to figure out the spatial dynamics of moving as a pack. And Stephani Sosa, in the middle of a sharp turn, throws her arm out, and her hand accidentally, with full force, knocks Natalie Jolley right in the face.
Oh my gosh.
Specifically, right in the eye.
I literally screamed at my television. I had to rewind it because I thought she just tripped, but no, it was a direct hit. You could see the immediate swelling, the disorientation.
It was brutal.
Natalie had to be rushed away by the on-set medics for supervision, but what absolutely broke me, what made me sob on my couch, was Natalie's absolute grace in that terrible moment.
She handled it incredibly well.
She was holding her eye, clearly in immense pain, and she didn't blame Stephani for a single second. She was comforting her, and Stephani was completely mortified, just crumbling with guilt. It was so tragic.
It was a horrific accident, but let's take a detour into the context that didn't make the broadcast, because the Reddit forums have been absolutely spiraling over the mechanics of why this happened and the tragedy of who it happened to. Fans were completely devastated for Natalie, not just because of the injury, but because of the specific timeline.
Right, the timeline is heartbreaking.
This was filmed a while ago, and Natalie actually had to pull out of the national championships because of her commitment to this show.
Stop it. Are you serious? She gave up nationals for this.
Yes, and to understand why this specific collision happened, viewers on the forums who know the competitive circuit pointed out a massive stylistic difference. Natalie is a highly trained standard ballroom dancer.
Okay, yeah.
She is a true classic ballroom girl in a room full of Latin specialists. We saw that in the tango rehearsal footage someone leaked online. Her standard frame is immaculate.
Break that down for us. What is the fundamental difference between standard and Latin that would cause this kind of accident?
Standard ballroom, like your waltz, foxtrot, tango, is danced strictly in hold. You're physically connected to your partner, maintaining a rigid, massive top line, and your path around the floor is highly regulated. You know exactly where you are going.
You're steering together.
Exactly. Latin dancing, like your cha-cha jive or the commercial jazz they were doing for Britt, is explosive. Partners separate, you change directions constantly, and it relies heavily on peripheral vision and rapid spatial recalibration.
Okay, I see where this is going.
Natalie is used to a predictable, controlled environment. Stephani is a Latin commercial dancer used to throwing her limbs to the absolute limit, put them in a rushed, chaotic formation, and Natalie simply didn't have the instinct to dodge, and Stephani didn't have the instinct to pull or punch.
That makes so much sense. It wasn't malice. It was literally two different athletic languages crashing into each other. And to give up nationals for this, only to take a hand to the face on day 3, devastating. We are fiercely advocating right now. Natalie needs to get a troop spot next season on the main show.
The network owes her for that sacrifice.
They absolutely do.
But the chaos of the broadcast didn't stop there. Because exactly at the 3-hour mark, while the contestants are still reeling from losing Natalie, who walks through the studio doors, Mark and Shirley Ballas, an absolute ambush judging scenario.
With a mother-son duo of doom, I got chills when they walked in.
They sit down, pull out their notepads, and demand to see the rough draft of the routine right then and there. And Shirley, the queen of Latin, does not hold back. She zeroes right in on Tristan Sanders and calls him out for being a whole bar ahead in his telespins.
Okay, I have to stop you because this was where my brain scrambled. What is a telespin and how do you get a whole bar ahead?
A telespin is a highly complex, continuous turning action. It requires immense core control to stay perfectly on your axis of rotation while generating momentum with your feet.
That sounds impossible.
Think of it like a transmission in a car. You have gears that need to lock into place on the exact beat of the music. If you start spinning too fast, if one gear slips, you don't just mess up one step, the entire engine tears itself apart.
Oh, wow.
In ballroom music, a bar is a grouping of beats, usually 4 beats in this context. To be a whole bar ahead means Tristan wasn't just slightly rushing. He was dancing to a completely different mathematical equation than the rest of the room. He was essentially living in the future while everyone else was on the present beat.
And when Shirley pointed that out, my sweet, sensitive Tristan, he just broke down in tears.
He really fell apart.
The pressure of the ticking clock, the shock of the ambush, it just shattered him. And I completely fell in love with him right then and there. He is a vulnerable underdog. He wears his heart on his sleeve, and I just wanted to jump through the screen and tell him he is enough. We need more men on television showing raw emotion.
Okay, bleeding heart, reel it in. I am going to push back on this heavily.
Of course you are.
Yes, the tears are compelling television, and it humanizes him. But let's look at this mechanically. Crying does not fix musical timing.
It helps release the stress.
Crying does not put you back on the beat. This is a competition for a job on live television. I need Tristan to compartmentalize that stress and execute the steps. When Shirley critiques you, you don't weep. You calculate how to slow down your axis of rotation.
But he's human. The stress is unimaginable.
But the job demands a robot under pressure. Meanwhile, Mark clocked Nina Meister. He tells her she is rushing her transitions and has absolutely zero spatial awareness. Which, given that we just saw someone get knocked out of the competition and rushed to a medic due to a lack of spatial awareness, is a pretty severe, pointed critique.
It was a heavy critique, but I honestly think she needed to hear it, especially after her toxic drama with Benji last week where she refused to listen to anyone.
Exactly.
So then we moved to the next day. Host Robert Irwin, who is just doing a lovely, calming job amid the chaos, by the way, announces that Natalie is still under medical supervision and cannot compete.
Real shame.
The remaining 8 dancers are split into 2 teams for the Team Draft Challenge. And because they were the bottom 2 in the ambush judging, Nina and Tristan are made team captains.
Oh, the classic reality TV psychological torture trope. Put the struggling, spiraling kids in charge of the group project.
And the draft itself was so stressful. We see Tristan, Stephani, Selena, AJ, Alan, Adele, Nina, and then there is Eric Linder. Left standing there, pick last.
Yep, the ultimate insult.
Snark Squad, you know how I feel about this. I will vehemently defend Eric until my dying breath. The psychology of the underdog is so powerful. The last picked dancer always has the most epic revenge arc because they suddenly have everything to prove. He was standing there with so much quiet dignity.
He took it well, but let's see how the teams actually functioned under this manufactured pressure. Let's start with Team Paso Doble, captained by the emotionally fragile Tristan, featuring Stephani, Selena, and your underdog, Eric. The Vibe. Are You Gonna Go My Way? By Lenny Kravitz.
Such an aggressive driving song choice for a Paso.
It's an incredible song, but the leadership, an absolute catastrophic failure of management.
It was a little chaotic.
Tristan, likely overcompensating for his breakdown the day before, opts for a leaderless democracy. He wants everyone to just contribute ideas, hold hands, and feel heard. Babes, let me make this very clear to everyone listening. Democracy does not work in ballroom choreography. It is a dictatorship or it is a disaster.
Why do you hate democracy?
Because choreography is math. It is strict geometry and timing. If 4 people are all contributing their own ideas for an arm line, you end up with 4 slightly different angles and it looks like a mess.
I mean, I see what you're saying, but...
You need one person saying, your arm goes exactly here on count 5, and if it doesn't, you're out. When everyone is choreographing, no one is choreographing. The visual uniformity is destroyed. And it showed on the floor.
It really was disjointed. Britt praised the dynamic start and the cape work, but she was right. They look like 4 individuals dancing in the exact same room by coincidence, not a unified team. Tristan looked totally lost in his own routine.
And let's talk about the mechanics of cape work, because people do not realize how treacherous it is.
Please explain this, because they were swirling those red capes around and it looked so cool, but you could tell they were struggling.
Cape work in a Paso Doble is a nightmare of physics. You are manipulating a large, heavy piece of fabric while trying to maintain aggressive, staccato footwork and severe shaping in your spine. It's all about aerodynamics and centripetal force.
Okay, Professor.
You have to flick your wrists at the exact microsecond the beat drops to catch the air. If you are a fraction of a second late, the fabric loses its tension, wraps around your head, and you look like a tangled bat flailing in the dark.
A tangled bat?
To execute cape work, in perfect synchronization with 3 other people requires militant rehearsal. A democracy cannot choreograph synchronized cape work.
A tangled bat. That is exactly what Selena looked like for a second, and Mark specifically clocked Selena Hamilton for lacking spatial awareness. He said she almost collided with Stephani.
Exactly. After what happened to Natalie, spatial awareness is the buzzword of the week. You cannot be drifting out of your lane. Shirley called out the messy knee walks and the back kicks, which were just totally mathematically out of sync.
True.
But we have to give credit where credit is due. Shirley did praise Stephani and Eric. She noticed that they actually understood peripheral vision. They knew how to dance in a pack without looking directly at each other, which comes directly from their commercial and troupe backgrounds.
Thank goodness for Eric proving why he should have been picked last. See? Underdog victory. But then we pivot to the rival squad, Team Tango. Captained by Nina, featuring Alan, AJ, and Adele. The Vibe is Into You by Ariana Grande.
A bup.
And Nina, in a shocking moment of self-awareness after being the direct reason Benji went home last week, wisely steps back and delegates the leadership.
She hands the reins to the cocky UK import, AJ Pritchard. And AJ literally says to the camera, to actually put this routine together, nobody else is better than me. I've done this a million times. Babes, I live for this arrogant energy. I really do. It is what makes a champion.
Okay, I have to push back on this fiercely. You love a villain, but I hate this kind of toxic leadership saying nobody is better than me. Isolates your team. It creates an environment of fear where people are afraid to make mistakes.
Fear gets results on the dance floor.
We have seen psychological studies on team dynamics. If the leader is an egomaniac, the trust erodes, and eventually the team collapses under the resentment.
That might be true in a corporate boardroom, but in a 3-hour television rehearsal, arrogance is a feature, not a bug. Because he wasn't a villain in the actual room. He backed it up, he took charge, he mapped out the floor. He wasn't self-absorbed while they were dancing. He actually framed the others and made them look good.
He made them look mostly good, until the disaster. Alan Genkin, the absolute fan favorite, straight up falls during the routine. He hits the floor. My heart stopped. I gasped out loud.
But look at how he handled it. He popped back up so fast with such fierce professionalism that the judges barely cared.
It was wild.
Mark even pointed it out and basically brushed it off. We have to break down how incredible that is. When you follow the music keeps playing, you lose your spatial mapping, you lose your count. Alan had to hit the deck, push his body weight up, listen to the track, find the downbeat, recalibrate his position relative to AJ and Adele, and drop back into a complex tango frame in roughly 1.5 seconds. That is what makes a pro.
It was superhuman to not even let the smile drop from his face. Incredible. And then the judging for Team Tango gave us the most hilarious, uncomfortable squabble between Mark and Shirley. I love when they bicker like actual family members at Thanksgiving dinner.
It was so tense.
Shirley is praising the side-by-side swivels, saying how locked in they were. But Mark completely interrupts her and argues that AJ didn't pick Nina's feet up off the floor during the swivels and that she was dragging.
And we have to analyze those swivels. A side-by-side swivel requires both partners to generate identical rotational force through their hips while traveling across the floor.
Right.
If one person's foot speed is slightly slower, or if there's too much friction because they aren't picking up their feet sharply enough, the illusion of unity is shattered. It looks muddy. Mark was technically correct. Nina's foot speed was dragging.
But Shirley wasn't having it. She immediately defended the choreography, and she also delivered the most iconic backhanded compliment to AJ.
Oh, she destroyed him beautifully.
She praised his leadership, complimented his teamwork, and simultaneously called him self-centered and arrogant in the span of one single breath. It was a masterclass in psychological warfare.
A truly masterful read. But before we get to the final elimination results of the night, we need to take a careful analytical detour into something that was blowing up on the Reddit threads during this broadcast.
Yeah, this was intense.
We always try to keep it light, but the online chatter brought up a massive discussion surrounding Stephani Sosa's physical appearance.
Yes. Fans were noting on the forums that she looks concerningly thin right now, especially compared to her time on the troupe a couple of years ago. Her cheeks looked visibly hollowed out under the studio lights, and people were genuinely worried about her well-being.
Now, to be completely fair, objective and transparent based on the discussions, Stephani has been very open on her own social media platforms about her recent weight loss journey, explicitly stating that she had liposuction.
Which, honestly, I appreciate the transparency. It's so much better than the standard Hollywood PR line of claiming you just drank a lot of water, found inner peace, and did some light Pilates.
Exactly. But her transparency opened up this massive, darker conversation on the Reddit threads about the conflicting pressures in the dance industry. The discussion heavily centered on the rampant, often unspoken use of Ozempic and the culture of eating disorders in the DWTS and broader Hollywood ecosystem. Fans were pointing out the paradox of what these dancers are asked to do.
Break that paradox down because it's fascinating and awful.
Mechanically speaking, a professional dancer is an elite athlete. They are burning thousands of calories a day during a 10-hour rehearsal block. They require immense muscular fuel carbohydrates, protein, just to sustain the physical force required to lift a partner or survive a 3-minute jive.
Right, they need energy.
But simultaneously, they are operating in an aesthetic medium. High-definition television cameras famously widen the body, and the industry standard demands a long, lean, visual line. So you have athletes who need heavy caloric fuel being pressured to maintain an extreme caloric deficit to look a certain way on camera. It is a biological contradiction.
It is a toxic gauntlet. They are caught between needing the strength of a linebacker and the aesthetic of a runway model. It's a brutal reality of the entertainment world, and we just want all these dancers to be healthy enough to sustain their careers without breaking down.
Well said. It is an impossible tightrope to walk. And speaking of gauntlets, let's get back to the final twist of the episode. Team Tango wins the challenge, obviously. AJ's dictatorship triumphed over Tristan's democracy,
Ugh, don't gloat.
which leaves Tristan and Selena as the bottom two from Team Paso facing elimination.
I was a wreck. I was holding my breath. I couldn't handle losing Tristan's emotional journey, but Selena had those spatial awareness issues.
But then, host Robert Irwin brings everyone out for the dramatic reveal. The lights go down, and he announces that Natalie has not been medically cleared by the doctors.
So sad.
She walks out looking completely heartbroken, holding an ice pack, and gives a tearful goodbye to the cast. She says the most important thing is to take care of her body so she can dance again in the future.
I was sobbing again. The sheer injustice of giving up nationals only to leave on a medical DQ.
Because of Natalie's mandatory medical exit, the elimination protocol is canceled. Tristan and Selena are safe by default. They get an incredibly lucky break. But let me tell you, Tristan better use his 9 lives wisely because the judges have their eyes permanently fixed on his timing issues now. He cannot afford to be a bar ahead ever again.
Wow, just an absolute roller coaster of an hour. Let's move into our mirror ball moments. We have to choose our standouts, our heartbreaks, and defend them passionately. Let's start with the best performance of the night.
For me, it is unequivocally Team Tango. Yes, there was a fall, but they survived that literal fall without breaking the illusion of the dance. They executed complex choreography under a time crunch, and they still won. AJ's dictatorial leadership paid off because the structural framing was superior, the intent was there, and they acted like a cohesive geometric unit.
I have to agree. Even though it pains me to praise AJ's ego, even with Alan's tumble, it felt like a unified heartbeat. Okay, biggest improvement of the night.
Nina, hands down, no contest.
Yes. I am fully on the Nina redemption train. She went from being the absolute stubborn cause of Benji's elimination last week because she wouldn't listen and hijack the entire creative process to a highly successful delegator this week. She stepped back, recognized that AJ had a better grasp of the math, let him drive the choreography, and improved her own timing enough to win. That takes immense emotional maturity.
She realized her weakness and managed it instead of fighting it. That's a pro move. Now, most emotional routine or moment?
Oh, babes, it wasn't even a routine for me. It was Tristan's rehearsal breakdown.
Oh, here we go.
When Mark and Shirley ambushed them at the 3-hour mark and Shirley clocked his timing, watching his face crumble, watching the pressure of the ticking clock literally push him to tears, that was the most raw, human moment of the season for me so far.
We already debated his tears, so I will offer a different emotional moment. Natalie's grace after getting struck in the face. To be in agonizing physical pain, knowing your season might be over, and your immediate instinct is to comfort the person who hit you. That is a level of emotional fortitude and sportsmanship that most reality TV stars could never comprehend.
That's so true. Okay, most surprising contestant.
It has to be AJ. I was fully prepared to hate him this week based on his massive unchecked ego in the solo interviews.
I still kind of do.
But he actually backed it up. He was a competent leader. He physically supported Nina through the friction of those swivels. and he didn't try to outshine Alan or Adele in the framing.
Which Shirley completely called out with her backhanded compliment. And finally, the performance or moment that deserved a standing ovation.
Alan's recovery from his fall.
100%. To hit the deck on national television in front of Mark and Shirley Ballas, calculate the beats in your head while lying on the floor, push your body weight up, and pop back into frame on the exact right millisecond to finish the tango like nothing happened. That is standing ovation material.
Which leads us right into dissecting the judges' table. Let's debate the scores and critiques like the passionate, obsessive ballroom fans we are. First off, was the final verdict fair? Did Team Tango truly deserve the win despite the glaring fall?
Absolutely they did, because Team Paso was a disjointed, chaotic mess. I love Tristan, but his democratic approach ruined the flow. They didn't feel the music together. They felt like four strangers at a bus stop. Team Tango had a unified intent.
I completely agree. Let's talk about the technical critiques. We already broke down the aerodynamic nightmare of the cape work and the friction issues of the side-by-side swivels. But who was actually right about those swivels? Mark or Shirley?
You took Mark's side earlier, saying Nina's foot speed was dragging. And technically, yes, you are right. But I have to defend Shirley's overarching critique of AJ. When she praised his choreo but called him arrogant, it was a perfect judge moment.
It was iconic.
She was basically looking beyond the steps and saying, I see your talent, but if you don't learn how to collaborate without an ego, you will ruin your future partnerships. It was tough love, and AJ needed to hear it before he alienated the entire cast.
It was a masterful read of his character, I'll give you that. Okay, let's pivot and imagine, hypothetically, we actually got hired as pros on the main show. Let's talk strategy.
Oh, the absolute dream.
Out of this current cast of contestants, knowing their psychological profiles and physical limitations, who would you want as your partner?
I would absolutely, without a doubt, pick Tristan.
Let me guess. Because you want to fix him.
Because I want to nurture his fragile confidence. He has the raw physical talent. We saw that in week 1. He just needs a supportive, empathetic therapist/coach to tell him he's doing amazing when the pressure gets too high.
Sounds exhausting.
We would light some lavender candles in the rehearsal room, do some vocal affirmations in the mirror, and then dance a beautiful sweeping waltz. Who would you pick?
I am picking Alan.
Just because he's handsome?
Well, yes. That never hurts for votes. But primarily because of his biomechanical resilience. I do not have the patience for a 3-hour emotional breakdown. If we mess up the choreography, I need a partner who doesn't cry, but instead calculates the error, pops right back up, and hits the next mark. Alan proved he has that mental steel.
What would your rehearsal style be? Chaos coach or supportive therapist? I think we both know the answer to this based on this entire conversation.
I would be a complete, unrelenting chaos coach. I would be brutally surgically honest. If your frame looks like a cooked spaghetti noodle, meaning you have lost all muscular tension in your lats and core, I'm going to tell you it looks like a cooked spaghetti noodle. We are here to win a mirror ball, not to coddle your inner child.
And I would be the supportive therapist. I would bring homemade baked goods to rehearsal to ensure we had enough caloric fuel. We would sit in a circle and talk about our feelings and our fears before we even started stretching our hamstrings.
You'd be eliminated week 2. The audience would vote you out just to save you from yourself.
Probably. But my partner and I would leave with our mental health completely intact and a lifelong bond.
Okay, what about a theme night? If you could pitch a completely unhinged theme night to the DWTS producers, what is it?
Oh, this is easy. Reality TV meltdowns night.
Wait, I love that.
Every single dance style has to be conceptually inspired by an iconic reality TV fight. I want a furious, aggressive paso doble choreographed into the exact audio cadence of Teresa Giudice flipping the table on Real Housewives of New Jersey. The cape work would represent the table. It would be high art.
Oh my God, the cape as the table is brilliant. Mine would be songs we cried to in middle school night. Give me a dramatic barefoot contemporary routine to Evanescence or Dashboard Confessional. The angst would be off the charts. The mascara running down the contestants' faces would be a nightmare for the makeup department. And finally, what specific type of celebrity partner would make you walk off the set on day 1? The D-list celeb that would make you quit ballroom forever.
A Silicon Valley tech bro billionaire.
Oh, absolutely.
Someone who thinks they can hack the biomechanics of a foxtrot with an algorithm, refuses to listen to the actual music, and tries to optimize our rehearsal schedule using a spreadsheet. I would walk out immediately. You cannot code rhythm.
For me, it would be a highly controversial politician trying to rehab their terrible public image by doing a goofy, offbeat salsa in a brightly colored ruffled shirt. Absolutely not. Keep your sequins, keep your paycheck. I am going home.
Fair enough. Let's wrap this up by looking at the road to the mirror ball. Let's make some serious predictions, Snark Squad. Who is the absolute strongest contender right now?
I think we are looking at a two-horse race for the frontrunners. Alan Genkin, because he is consistently solid, he has that undeniable Teflon-coated fan favorite appeal, and he proved his extreme professionalism under literal physical pressure this week. And Adele Zakeman.
Yes! Adele, I am so glad you see it too.
She has a phenomenal musical ear. She is flying slightly under the radar because she isn't causing massive interpersonal drama in the rehearsal room, but her technique is lethal. She understands the mechanics of the dances better than anyone else.
I completely agree with both of those picks. On the flip side, who do you think is in immediate danger next week?
It has to be Tristan and Selena. The math is not in their favor. They got a massive, statistically lucky break this week with Natalie's medical exit saving them from a guaranteed elimination. But the judges do not forget.
Never.
They have their eyes fixed on them now. If Tristan rushes the music again and gets a bar ahead, or if Selena loses her spatial mapping and drifts into someone else's lane, they're done.
It hurts my heart to say it, but you are right. They are on borrowed time. Okay, who is the dark horse of the season? The one sneaking up on everyone.
Eric Linder.
Vindicated. My underdog. But tell me why, purely from a technical standpoint.
Because he was picked absolute last for the team draft, which is humiliating and destroys your confidence, but he didn't let it show in his body language. And more importantly, the judges specifically went out of their way to praise his spatial awareness and peripheral vision in a highly chaotic group number.
It was so validation.
In ballroom, especially in group numbers, that awareness is gold. He knows exactly where his body ends and his partner's begins. Do not sleep on Eric. If he gets a solo routine that highlights that control, watch out for him.
I am so here for the Eric Revenge Tour. I will be making the t-shirts. Okay, give me one completely ridiculous prediction that somehow feels entirely possible for the rest of the season.
I predict that AJ Pritchard choreographs a routine for a future challenge that is so profoundly arrogant, so entirely focused on highlighting his own frame while completely ignoring his partner, that the judges actually refuse to hold up their score paddles out of pure spite.
Oh my gosh, I can vividly see Shirley just putting her paddle face down on the desk, crossing her arms, and refusing to speak.
What's yours?
My ridiculous prediction is that someone gets taken out by a rogue prop next week. Like an oversized, heavily weighted feather boa gets caught in the heel of a stiletto and takes down 3 dancers like bowling pins during a group number.
Given the collision injury rate this season, a prop-related disaster is highly probable.
Which brings us to the end of our chat tonight. And babes, we want to leave you with a final provocative thought. We joke about the drama, the chaotic choreography, and the glitz, but Natalie's tragic medical exit, combined with the intense fan discussions around body image and the extreme physical demands of this art form, prove something really important.
It proves that the show isn't just about glitter, spray tans, and learning the steps. This is a brutal, high-stakes athletic gauntlet. It demands absolutely everything from these dancers' bodies, from their joints to their cardiovascular systems and their minds. They are sacrificing their health, their physical safety, and their mental well-being for our entertainment.
It really makes you ask the heavy question, is the Mirror Ball trophy really worth risking your long-term health? It's a sobering thought, but one we have to keep in mind as we watch these incredible artists push themselves past their absolute physical limits.
Exactly. It's a beautiful, dangerous sport. But now we turn the conversation over to you. That's the Snark Squad.
We want to hear from you. Jump into our comments and let us know which dance was your absolute favorite tonight. Was it the chaotic, disjointed paso doble or the mathematically superior recovering tango?
Which contestant do you think has improved the most? Are you on the Nina delegation redemption train with me?
And most importantly, what song would you choose for your own completely unhinged freestyle routine? Are you going for the emotional wind machine ballad or the pyrotechnic fire hazard? We need your track list.
Thank you all so much for listening and spiraling with us tonight. Remember to subscribe, leave a glowing 5-star review, and share this conversation with another reality TV-loving babe in your life who appreciates the mechanics of a good ballroom breakdown.
Stay sparkly, stay dramatic, and we'll see you on the Snark side.